My name is Ryan Mcpartlin, and I play Captain Awesome.
Hi, my name is Graham Jones, but you can call me Gray. This is my show. It's about Chuck. It's filled with interviews, the latest news, crazy co-hosts, and spoilers that'll make your day. Oh, wait, I need to go back. I host these TV nights. They used to be pretty boring, but everything changed when I found NBC's new show, Chuck. Pretty soon, my TV night got pretty crowded. Guys I didn't even know were showing up the door. Big, important guys. Really scary, nasty, get killed for hosting them guys. Next thing I know, these super episodes are downloaded into my brain, which means every moment of my life, I'm thinking about Chuck. ChuckTV.net sent their top people to protect me. That's Mel and Liz. They're pretty zany. They co-host with me now as a cover. So now I must welcome you to Chuck vs. the Podcast, the #1 TV podcast for NBC's Chuck. This is Gray.
This is Mel.
This is Liz.
And this is Lou.
And I want to welcome you to Chuck vs. the Podcast, episode 27. And we want to welcome Lou, Chuck TV forum moderator and cool article writer. How's it going, Lou?
Very well, thanks, Gray. And I'm actually quite excited. I got a big weekend coming up. This weekend is the Toronto SF Expo, which is Canada's version of the San Diego Comic-Con. Not near the same size, but through the graces of connections that Mel has, we've been able to line up an interview with actor-director Robert Duncan McNeil, and I'm really looking forward to talking to him about all things that he's been doing, and not just with Chuck, but all his other previous background history. I was really freaked out to find out that he was in the Masters of the Universe movie, so I'm really looking forward to talking to him.
Wow, that is exciting. I'm in Toronto, but I'm actually doing an interview with one of the editors from Chuck right at that time, so I won't be able to be there. But just to fill in the fans, Robert Duncan McNeil has directed 8 episodes of Chuck so far, and he also is one of the executive producers.
Yes, he is. We saw him at Comic-Con, and he wasn't officially on the list, but we tried to snag him for an interview in the press room, and I just talked him into it when they brought someone over who was on the list of official interviewees. So it's really cool that we're now going to have this opportunity with Lou to interview him face to face. And I talked to him earlier this week, and he was really excited about getting a chance to talk to the fans via the podcast and ChuckTV.net. So that's pretty cool.
Very, very cool. We have a few pieces of news to share, plus an interview with the always awesome Ryan Mcpartlin. So stick around for that interview and also for spoilers.
Hooray! We have a new giveaway going on at ChuckTV.net. It's the Stream and Win giveaway. This is, if you've been over to CheckMeOut.com, and if you haven't, you should, they have a goal to reach 1 million streams, which means we've watched Chuck 1 million times via NBC.com. That's their goal. So to help them reach that goal, we've offered a prize pack that includes the Season 3 poster, that giant bag from Comic-Con that's highly coveted every year, and then a hotel key card featuring Chuck that was given away at Comic-Con. And we want to thank Carol for donating the key card for this giveaway. The premise is you just watch an episode on NBC.com and then come back to ChuckTV.net and leave a comment with your favorite scene from that episode and the timestamp when it occurs. And you can enter as many times as you'd like. As you know, they've got, I think, 12 episodes streaming on NBC.com right now, so there's 12 entries. The deadline is 11:59 p.m. Pacific time on September 1st.
Very, very cool. And any way we can visit and support ChuckMeOut.com is great. NBC is watching. They definitely want to see how we can stimulate fan interest by that site. So make sure you bookmark it, go check it every day, see what's new on that site. And I think it's really cool. It's like you have DVD extras available to you instantly.
Exactly. And they've got they have a lot of really neat videos there and more coming from the set of Chuck, which is in production now on Season 3. So we're getting some, sneak peeks months before it's going to premiere, which is really cool.
Very, very cool. And speaking of cool, there have been some really interesting and insightful articles at ChuckTV.net, and the author of those articles is here with us, Lou.
Hey, thanks for the kind words, Gray. Yes, we've been running a couple of articles the last few weeks over on the front page from ChuckTV.net, and I've been pretty happy and actually humbled by the response that I've been gotten on the first couple, and I hope to keep bringing a new one to you every week for as long as I can. I have the third one ready to go, and that should be up next week. The first couple dealt with the Intersect and the new Intersect and how it's going to change things on the show next season. We also have another forum member doing articles as well. Happy Days. Her first one was about Awesome's involvement and in the spy world for the next season, and we hope to keep further our articles from other members coming up as well to keep the Chuck spirit going between the seasons.
Very, very cool. And please keep the forums alive too. And all this discussion is really, really helpful, I think, in really getting deeper into the characters and deeper into the story.
You know, that is one of the, I guess, silver linings for this long hiatus, is that it gives us time to really start to look at the different characters and the different storylines and dig deep and see, you know, let's analyze, let's see what's really going on here. And from that point, discuss what we think might happen in season 3. So people are having a lot of fun with that. And we have a lot of really cool articles coming up during the hiatus from various fans, just discussing different plot points and different character points.
And Liz, you've got a news item.
Yes, Chuck Me Mondays. We've changed the Twitter tag to the # Chuck Me Out, all run together. Don't put any spaces in there. Chuck Me Out to help promote the new Chuck Me Out site. We trended again for one of the longest lengths of time yet. It was 1.5 hours. And NBC is working to make the first half of season 2 available online for us, but we may do things a little bit differently if they aren't up by August 31st. What's really great is that people who have never seen Chuck, they see us trending, and they're asking about the show. It's really helping to spread the word about Chuck. So please make sure that you keep Twittering on Mondays with us.
Absolutely. And on a personal note, you may remember last year when I mentioned on the podcast that I was working on a comic book documentary series called Ink, Alter Egos Exposed, which aired here in Canada. And I'm really, really proud to announce that it has been nominated for a Gemini Award, which is the Canadian equivalent of the Emmys.
So
wow,
cool.
Congratulations.
Yeah, That's awesome.
Yeah, and what I'm hoping will happen as it gets some attention from this is that it could actually generate some interest in the States. So our American viewers might actually get a chance to see it.
Yay!
Yay,
Fingers
about time,
crossed.
too.
Yeah. I was really, really fortunate to have an interview with Ryan Mcpartlin recently, and I'll play that now. So I want to welcome Ryan Mcpartlin to Chuck versus the podcast. How are you doing, Ryan?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing wonderfully, especially when I consider that you're starting to shoot the new season of Chuck, and it just, even though we don't have it yet, it reminds me that it's coming.
Yes, we are very excited. We're already through the first episode and into the second right now.
Wow. Well, I'd love to talk about you as an actor and how you got into the business a little bit. You graduated with a degree in speech communication?
I did. I graduated from University of Illinois in a degree in speech communication, and that's pretty much how I think I got my start. If I think back, I mean, any speech that you deliver has to have some comedy involved, and I'd write my own speeches and present them in front of classes, and that's when I kind of started tapping into my funny bone. And it just kind of spilled over into going, oh, well, I really enjoy this. And then when I graduated college, I was looking at all these jobs. And listen, if you're a good speaker and are good in speech communications, there's plenty of industries that can use your talents.
Mm-hmm.
So the more I thought about it, the more I felt like I was going to be successful no matter what I do. So I better choose something I like, so I don't wake up 20 years from now and say, oh, man, this isn't really what I wanted. I wish I would have tried something else. So that's when I kind of said, hey, I might try acting. And then I moved out to Los Angeles and gave it a shot.
Now, you actually have a Wikipedia page. I
Yeah,
don't know if you know
saw
that. Yeah. And it mentions that you spent 6 months in Australia and New Zealand. How was that involved in that process?
I spent 6 months in New Zealand and Australia as a student exchange program with the University of Illinois right before I graduated. And it was great because it gave me a lot of time to meet other people and get outside my box and go, hey, what do I want to do with my life, and see the world from a different point of view. It was wonderful. It was great when I came to LA because on my resume was this University of New South Wales in Australia, and so all these casting directors thought that I was an Australian doing an American accent. And honestly, if they think you're Australian or British, it brings your talent level to a whole different. You don't even have to say anything. You don't even have to audition. They think you're, a better talent than any American right off the bat. So I was like, I don't want to talk about it too much. Good on you, mate. I'd rather just speak in my American accent. So throw another shrimp on the barbie. Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
So that was it.
I encourage everybody to look through your IMDb resume and look back at some shows that you've done. Most recently, you were in Super Capers, which came out, I guess, earlier this year. That looked like a lot of fun.
It was fun. To be honest, it didn't live up to what we hoped it would be. It was a fun movie to shoot, and I'm not going to say a whole lot more about it other than it was a very fun experience. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
And the more time I get on feature sets, the better. As experienced as I am in television, the feature world, I'm still just cracking into.
Yeah. Now, you auditioned twice for the role of Superman in Superman Returns?
I did, and it was blown up to be much more than what it was. I wasn't as close to the role as everyone thought I was. Like, Star Magazine had me as the lead contender. My dad thought I had the role locked down when he saw that. And to be honest, I'm glad it didn't happen that early, because I don't want to be that famous before I had some of the experiences to build on, and that's what Chuck is for me. I mean, I probably wouldn't be doing Chuck if I did get that role. And Chuck has been an invaluable experience for me.
Thinking back to when you first read the Chuck pilot, I heard there was something about your character that it was actually a completely different direction for your character at first. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, when I first did the pilot of Chuck, I mean, I really, if you remember, I only had a small couple scenes. I shot them all in one day, and I really didn't know where the show was going to go. So I called my agent and I said, get me another show. I need something to rely on. I need to get, something where I have a bigger part in. And this is a fun, cute show, but, I don't know how much longer I'll be on it. And according to Josh Schwartz and Chris Fedak, they thought it would be fun by the end of the first season to have me come out as a spy and have me eliminated, basically.
Oh, you're kidding.
And they felt that, not to brag, but they felt that I was doing such a fun job on it and such a good job that the audience reacted so well to me on the chat boards and message boards that that they decided they had to keep me. They couldn't kill off Awesome, and they had to take it a whole new direction. So that kind of leads to, at the end of the second season, where I was the first one to know that Chuck was a spy, and into this season where I'm going to get wrapped up in the spy world a little bit. So it's really flattering and really amazing that, they always say it's when you least expect something that it happens, and that's definitely the case with Chuck for me. It was the nicest surprise that I could have ever had.
Well, that's awesome. And to me, I think you've got arguably the most exciting character coming into season 3, because you get to do what Chuck did in the first season.
Absolutely, and that's what it feels like. I have the burden of the secret, and it's a great way for the writers to reinvent the show in the third season. I mean, they have a way that they can reinvent and reinvigorate the audience, because you can't lose the appeal of what Chuck was in the first place. It was living the double life, having the two worlds, but at the same time you have to evolve Chuck so you're not being too redundant with storylines. So they have evolved Chuck, obviously, into Kung Fu Chuck, which is going to be hysterical this year. I mean, amazing stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And then they've kind of put it on my shoulders to carry the burden of the secret and walk that fine line between the two worlds and watch to see how Captain Awesome reacts to it. And it's pretty cool so far from what I've read.
Very, very cool. Now, how has that affected the logistics of your shooting? I mean, you're obviously now going to be in more action scenes. You've probably got a lot more script to handle per episode.
Dude, I used to be able to just phone it in, show up, have some fun, throw out some funny lines, and go home. now I'm like, what? Stunt work? I don't know what that's about. Yeah, I'm really wrapped up. Like in the next episode that we shoot, in the third episode, it's really, I'm almost in every scene. And I was like, what is going on here? What happened to my cush schedule? But no, it's great. I mean, this is what every actor hopes for. But you gotta be careful what you wish for, because I'm going to be working Zach Levi hours some of these weeks now, and it's a lot of hard work and a lot of hours putting in. But hopefully it'll be all worth it for the audience.
Yeah. Well, obviously you've got to limit the spoilers here, but how is this changing your characters' relationships with the other characters? Say, for instance, somebody brought up a really good point recently, that Sarah has never really had a confidant in terms of who she could talk to about her relationship with Chuck. Well, now she could potentially have you as a confidant. Do you see any maturing of those relationships?
I've only read through 3 episodes. I definitely could see some some of those conversations happening with Sarah and with Casey about their world. But to be honest, so far, what I thought was going to happen with Captain Awesome, and I can't tell you what's going to happen, but what I thought was going to is totally different.
Wow.
So the writers have pleasantly surprised me, the road that I thought it would naturally take, and made it even better than I could have thought. So that's really in the hands of Schwartz and Fedak and the rest of our great writers. I just don't, so I can't really speak in terms of that. Chuck and Sarah may end up being driven so far apart, or they may come together. I really don't know. It's really up to them. Mm-hmm. But I'm just excited to be in that world.
Yeah. And does your character's medical expertise come to bear?
Absolutely. And it's a great way. I mean, if you think about it, my medical expertise is a great way to tie me into some of the situations that they're in, because obviously people are getting hurt. Bones are getting broken, people are getting shot, things like that are happening, which in medical emergencies, what better to have than a cardiothoracic surgeon on hand?
Yeah. Well, that's great. And are we going to see more of Awesome's parents and maybe even meet Awesome's brothers?
I'm sure at some point we will. Since right now we only have 13 episodes to work with, I really like the fact that they're focusing back on the core cast. Mm-hmm. And as fun and amazing as some of our guest stars have been, I think we've all kind of evolved enough that they can rely on us to carry a show if need be, and don't have to bring in huge heavy hitters as much anymore. So it would be great. It would be great if we got into Awesome, but it may be, if we get more episodes, maybe it'll happen, or maybe it'll happen towards the end of the 13. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. And now, stepping outside of Chuck a little bit, you went to Comic-Con recently, and now, was that your first one or second one?
This was my second time to Comic-Con.
How was it this time?
Unbelievable. I mean, like, the fans have only grown in size. I mean, not individual size, but as a mass. And they have their outpouring of love and support, and everything that they've done for the show was really felt. And I think that's the best venue for us to be able to connect with the fans and say a real thank you. That's not just on an interview or a message board or anything like that. To be able to sit there and hug people and shake their hands and say, hey, thanks a lot for getting on the network to pick us up. And we're one of those shows that are just connected so dearly with our fans.
Mm-hmm. And what's your feeling on the international response? I know you were just in Canada recently. here in Toronto. And actually, I got a Facebook message from a friend saying, "I thought I saw Awesome downtown." Do you find people will recognize you on the street and come up to you and that kind of thing?
Well, the funny thing is, I think internationally, we're as big, if not bigger, of a hit than we are in the States, because there's so much to watch in the States. But internationally, we're I heard in England that we're becoming a bit of a hit. Some of our friends just went to Brazil, and one of the only shows they had on their public TV was Chuck.
Oh, you're kidding!
Yeah, it was crazy. So, and absolutely in Toronto, it was great when I'd be walking down the street and hear, "Awesome, we love you." So I think it's a great show. It just really is. It's so much fun, and I think every country taps into that fun that we're having.
Well, that's great. So I had a question from Wendy Farrington, actually, and she asks, if you were an evil mastermind, what would be your ploy to take over the world?
If me personally, or if Captain Awesome was an evil mastermind?
Either one.
If I was an evil mastermind, what would my ploy to take over the world? That's a really good question, because both myself and Captain Awesome think such positive thoughts that it's tough to tap into that dark, sinister side.
You'd love bomb the world.
My plan to take over the world would probably be through a message of positivity and hopefulness and everything that you would expect from Captain Awesome and myself. Just to get it would be kind of like a cult leader in a way, you know how cult leaders are so charismatic. I think that's the only way I'd be able to take over the world, is to start a small cult and have it go, spread across the world, and me be the leader. So I don't know exactly what what kind of religion I'd be preaching, but I would make up something pretty fun, I think.
Well, that's great. Well, in looking toward the future, what's your plan for, say, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road?
I assume that I'll end up in a superhero movie at some point, just because my size, build, and presence. Other than that, I'm just kind of taking everything as it comes. My personal life is the most important thing to me, my family, and I focus on that and where I want to be with them. But as far as work goes, it's kind of like a pleasant surprise every time I get a new job that's something different.
Well, that's a great place to wrap up, and we certainly hope that we'll be seeing season 7 and 8 of Chuck before you move on to anything else.
Man, I would love that. I would love as many seasons as we can get out of this show, because this, to me, is like the best experience I could ever have. Yeah.
Well, that is awesome, and I'll let you get back to your baby here.
Thank you, Gray. Appreciate it.
No problem. So actually, the one question I would ask is, everybody keeps suggesting that Chuck could come earlier than March. Have you heard anything more on that?
I don't know anything more about that than anyone else. To be honest, even if it does, I think that the break with the winter break and then the Olympics kind of halts the momentum once again. So I don't know if it really benefits the show.
Yeah.
There's also that rumor that we could go into the summer of next year and do extra episodes going into the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be better, personally.
Yeah.
But NBC's kind of like trying to figure out what model they want to go with now, and they're changing things up. So I'm just as anxious to see as everyone else.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for taking the time, and hope you have lots of fun. And actually, I'll see you next month. I'll be in LA for 2 weeks toward the end of September, so hopefully I'll be able to meet you in person then.
All right, Gray. I look forward to seeing you, bud.
Great. Well, thanks so much for calling.
Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
And we're back. And that was awesome. Speaking to Awesome about awesome things.
He is truly awesome.
Yeah, and the coolest thing I think about Ryan Mcpartlin is you really get a sense that awesome character is actually his life. That is him on screen.
Yeah. I think it is. I think he really is that nice. You know, we met him at Comic-Con, and he was a genuinely awesome guy.
Yep. Very,
I don't think
very
we
cool.
can say that word too many times in this
No.
podcast. Maybe it should be a new drinking game.
Yeah. So we're going to start to close out now, and we have a few sort of closing remarks before we get to the exciting spoilers. I want to remind everybody, if you would like to be part of an email list, which would mean that you would get an email reminder about podcast releases and other events related to the podcast, please send an email to mail@chuckpodcast.com and put notification in the subject line. And then I'll add you to that list. Thanks to all who have joined us so far. And also, I want to remind everybody that we do have places that you can support us, one of them being Chuckazon, where you can order Chuck-related items. You can pre-order the Season 2 DVD, though it won't come until sometime next year. You can also give donations through the chuckpodcast.com site. And also, we have merchandise for both chucktv.net and Chuck vs. the Podcast, which you can find out about on the site.
Very cool. And we want to remind you also that you can go to podcastalley.com and iTunes to vote for us and leave comments. And when you do that, it just kind of helps raise us on the statistics on those two sites, podcastalley.com and iTunes, which draws more attention to Chuck, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, and please do vote, especially in the summer. The votes have been pretty low because there's not as many people watching TV, and we really do need for fans to kick in and help us out in that area, both towards the end of August and also beginning again in September. It would be a big help.
Yes.
If you have any questions or comments to share, please email us at mail@chuckpodcast.com.
Yep. And there will be a site update at chuckpodcast.com over the next couple of weeks. Comments will be back, and there will be some other improvements to the site. So watch for it, and also be patient if there's a day or two when the site is going through the construction phases.
I should also mention, since we're talking site updates, ChuckTV.net is moving to an even bigger server because even though the show has been off the air for 4 months now, our traffic is really still pretty high considering. We're still getting about 90,000 visitors a month. And then we have another website that's on that same server that's getting a tremendous amount of traffic. So we've already used up our dedicated server. We've already outgrown it. So we are going to be migrating the site here in the next week or so. And we hope that will resolve a lot of the connection issues that we've been having.
So hope to see you at the next Chuck Me Monday. Be sure to stop by chucktv.net for all the details.
So I want to thank Lou for joining us this week, and of course Mel and Liz, and we're going to wrap up the non-spoilery section now, which means that if you don't want to hear the spoilers, you can safely turn off the podcast now, and if you do want lots of great spoilers, just listen till after the cool music. And we're back.
All right, our first spoilers is for episode 302. It's going to be called Chuck versus the 3 Words. And I know which 3 words you're hoping for, Chuck fans, but I have a feeling in that is just a big tease. We do know that.
Back?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Bryce is back. That is 3 little words. We do know that in this episode, Karina returns, and Ali Adler tweeted a photo of Minnie Anden, who plays Karina, and Yvonne looking pretty fierce in their black spyware earlier this week. It's a neat photo, and you can see that at chucktv.net. So just confirming that indeed Karina's back. We also have a casting call that we can share for that episode. They were casting a character called Kurt Stromberg. He's described as being 30 to 45, a powerful brick of a man, eyes void of any feeling. He is a dangerous arms dealer, but he has a soft spot for the love of his life, Karina. Whenever he gets around her, he becomes a lovable teddy bear. And I had to read that twice to make sure they weren't talking about Casey, a.k.a. Sugar Bear.
Yeah.
But no, indeed, it seems Karina has this effect on the big tough men. And Morgan, but
and the viewing audience.
Yeah. So that's what we know so far about episode 302. Chuck versus the 3 words.
And Liz, you've got spoilers for episode 303.
Yes, episode 303 is called Chuck versus the Angel of Death, and it features a character named Premier Alejandro Goya, the dictator of a fictitious South American nation called Parador. Goya has come to the U.S. to announce that his country will be holding open democratic elections for the first time. Will Team Bartowski be tasked with protecting the premier, or is his true motive for visiting the U.S. something more sinister? Dun, dun, dun.
I'm guessing the latter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Because it could never be that easy.
No.
And I'm guessing that's a throwback to the 80s movie Moon Over Parador with Richard Dreyfuss.
I wouldn't be
Probably.
surprised.
Yeah.
As much as they love their references back. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and we also have spoilers going to episode 304, which the working title right now is Chuck versus Operation Awesome.
Yay!
And the spoiler is a casting call for 3 different parts. One of them, 4 different parts. One of them is for Sydney, 35 years old, female, super sexy, composed, has the icy demeanor of a professional spy, ruthless and powerful. And also a major promotable guest star. Please submit accordingly. I'm thinking Mel.
Oh. Mel or Jennifer Garner.
Let's go with Jennifer
One of the
Garner.
two. Please submit all ethnicities. Then we have Julius in his 40s. Actually, Julius, can that be a girl's name?
No, it's a boy.
A boy, okay. Julius in his 40s, a huge, imposing, menacing security guard, but has the heart of a softie, a big teddy bear. One-day guest star. Please submit all the ethnicities. And also, an old Korean woman must be able to speak Korean and English. And there's a co-star at the end of that. I'm guessing that means that that's a fairly major role.
Yeah.
I picked Shy McBride for Julius.
Oh, yeah. Except he's on that new series. He's on Flash Forward, isn't he? Or no? He's on a new series on ABC, so he's probably not available.
Mm-hmm.
But what's with all of the big, mean-looking guys that are teddy bears lately?
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah,
because they come in contact with Sarah? Yeah, that's it, isn't it?
That must be.
Okay, we'll go with that one.
She has, yeah. Or Jetster. Music has, tames the savage beast.
That's true.
I don't know why they just don't put down Casey lookalikes.
I know, right?
And I have a general spoiler. This one's not episode specific, but there's been discussion on the forums about whether Bryce really died at the end of the season 2 finale or not. And according to actor Matt Bomer, he seems to be taking a page out of Sean Connery's acting career and never say never. Bryce, in fact, might not be dead. So he's quoted on E-Online as saying that I'd love to go back, but it's really going to depend on scheduling, as he has his own series right now, White Collar. There's a possibility, however, that I will be back on Chuck. So as with anything in the genre-type material, you're not really dead until the series is over.
That's right. Bryce's eyes were open when Chuck downloaded the Intersect 2.0, so he may have downloaded it into his own brain. I don't know. That could be interesting.
Yeah, could be interesting.
Yeah.
And breaking news, you may have seen on ChuckTV.net that Brandon Routh, of course, the star of Superman Returns, has signed on to mentor Chuck. So Chuck's Superman connection just got stronger. He joins Chuck for a multi-episode arc. He'll be playing Shaw, a spy who takes control of Operation Bartowski and serves as a mentor for Chuck, and also a rival for Sarah's affections. So that should be really interesting. Not sure when that's going to happen, but that should be really, really cool. So that's all we have for this week, and there will be lots more exciting stuff in the coming weeks with lots of interviews and cool stuff in the Chuck universe.
That's right, and we hope you'll join us at chucktv.net and at checkmeout.com to keep up with all the happenings during hiatus.
Mm-hmm. So, see you guys later.
Bye. See you next time.
Ta-ta.
Have a good one.